Hi, so this is Alex from Kyero, and today we're having a chat with Katie Anderson from TIC Immobilier.
I can't believe it, but I've actually been here now for 20 years.
Yeah.
So in my previous life, I worked as a radio reporter for the BBC, and I had a sabbatical year. My parents moved to France. They went to a London property show and ended up getting in a taxi, and the taxi driver said, "Oh, you know what? You should look at the Charente. I live in the Charente, and I come here and work as a taxi driver." So they said, "Okay, we've never heard of it, so we'll go and check it out." They moved here, and I had a sabbatical year and spent a year here. And I think probably like most people who've lived here for quite a long time, if you're sort of meant to be in a place, I think your life just evolves in a certain way. So I thought, oh, I'll stay 1 year, I'll stay 2 years, I'll stay 3 years. And here I am. It's 20 years now. And I've been working for TIC now for nearly 3 years. And I love it. It's a really interesting line of work to be in. You meet loads of great people, see wonderful places, and discover even more about the area, places I've never been to in the last 20 years. So that's, yeah, I love it. Every time I've been back to England, I think over the 20 years, I probably had after 5 years a moment where I thought maybe I'll move back to the UK, and then maybe again at like 10 years. And then every time I went back, I sort of thought, well, I really like it, but I think what I liked in the UK is what I was reading in nice, interior magazines or something like that. And I had this sort of rose tinted view of what life was like there and quite nostalgic about where I come from and everything. And then I'd go back and I was like, oh no, and just always wanting to get back to France again. So yeah, no, I think I'm here for the long haul. Sometimes I met quite a few French people in the UK actually, because we have quite a lot of young French people who live in the UK.
London.
Whereas I think in France, quite a lot of people come here to retire. I don't think French people go to the UK like to retire in the sun. It's just not really, it doesn't really work that way around. So, but you go to London and lots of restaurants, hotels, because you have an amazing training in those kind of sectors. You have loads of young people, loads of young French people like yourself who enjoy everything that's to be enjoyed in London and in England. It seems so convivial and buzzing and bright. And I think I sort of had that lifestyle, and then was looking for something else, and thought I couldn't see myself living the life I wanted in the UK anymore. So I made the change, and I haven't really looked back, to be honest. For me, it just gets better and better. And it's probably the same for you. The more you learn the language where you're living and a bit more about the culture, the more you appreciate your new country that you call home. So it just gets more and more interesting, I think. But I would struggle to live in a different country if I didn't speak the language, I think, personally.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to immerse yourself in the country, I think you got to really sort of get your bonjour and all this stuff sort of checked up.
Yeah, definitely. And well, I've got a son who was born in France. He's only 11, and it's terrible because I obviously speak fluent French and I can write decent French. I read a bit in French, but when I speak French in front of him, he's like, oh, he can't bear it because
It's fun of you.
yeah, he just switches from one to the other without thinking about it.
Yeah, of
And
course. Yeah, yeah.
the French he's learnt at school, he speaks just like his little French friends at school. So there's no difference. He doesn't even have an accent, In English and in French. You sort of think they're very, very different languages, but they're similar in the sense that we have rules, but those rules can always be broken. So you can never say you always say that. Like in German, it seems to be a lot easier. You kind of know once you've learnt the grammar, you can pretty much get it right if you've got the vocabulary. Whereas in French, there'll always be an exception. In English, there'll always be an exception. There's a million ways of saying the same thing, and maybe less ways of saying it in French, but a longer way around of saying it. So you can't really compare the two, really. I think it's a constant learning curve. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
Can you tell me about TIC Immobilier, the agency? Because I mean, I've talked to Christophe a few times, but why?
Why? Well, Christoph's been with the agency for a really long time and eventually ended up becoming the director of the agency. We're the only independent one left in our town. All the rest are sort of part of a much bigger group. So we just have that one agency. So we're a very local estate agent. So we sort of pride ourselves on that and good customer service. We put a lot of time and effort into try and understand what our clients are looking for. it's a lovely, lovely agency to work for. We're like a little family, which sounds a bit corny, but it's true. There's very few of us. We work really closely together, and we've all got different skill sets. So yeah, I think as a group, it works really well in that small agency to function like that. I don't mind so much like doing videos and things like that, so I'll end up doing quite a lot of virtual tours, whereas some other people in the agency don't really like doing that. And that's quite a relatively new thing for us. Quite difficult to do in a lot of places because we have so many locations here that are just out in the middle of nowhere with no mobile phone signal and things like that. So we try and do things like that if we can to suit our clients who are all over the world, who are maybe on, not able to get here very quickly and want to just have a quick look and things like that. So we're constantly evolving as an agency, trying new things, and yeah, it's interesting.
And so your buyers, what nationalities are they from? I mean,
we've got all sorts, at the moment. So recently I sold a house to an Austrian man who lives in Australia. So that's a big combination of different things. Who was wanting to come back to Europe, and he thought that France would be a good place to come to. So he, again, was a virtual video. He viewed the house. We spent a long time looking in every corner of the house with him, explaining everything. There has to be a certain element of trust, I think, between the buyer and the estate agent to trust what they're saying. So I try to tend to show them all the good and the bad things, so they've got everything to then make a decision about whether it's the right place. We've got Americans. We've got not many German, I don't think. We've got a lot of Belgian people, Dutch people, English, Italian, sometimes Spanish, all over.
Yeah, of course, because Southwest.
Particularly via Kyero as well. Actually, we have a lot of people that come internationally from you.
That's so nice to hear.
It's true.
What would be your sort of biggest challenges for you for TIC Immobilier, in the coming future? I mean, you say there's things that are hard.
Yeah, I think there's always things that are hard, but at the moment it's quite challenging because we're based in a small town. There's quite a lot of estate agents. Like when you go into any small French town, you have loads and loads of florists, loads and loads of hairdressers, and quite a few estate agents. So there's a lot of estate agents. Some of them have become quite big in the way that they're structured. So they've got a lot of agents covering a lot of ground, putting lots of houses on. So I think it's like when you do anything in life, it's just like you have to just say, well, we're just going to do that to the best of our ability. We have certain objectives, certain principles that we like to stick to. And, it comes full circle. People do come back and say, wow, we didn't expect you to help us with that. We didn't expect it to have all gone so smoothly. So we just try and do what we can do, what we know how to do, and do it as well as we can.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, funny enough, I live in a sort of smallish town where we've got 7 hairdressers, but we've got as well 7 or 8 real estate agencies. And I've dealt with most of them because I was looking for a house, and I eventually bought a house. And the person that sold us, the agent that sold us the house, did an amazing job. And I did this job before I joined Kyero, and the others were, I don't want to criticize, but they showed us a house, then never called. They just forgot about us,
Yeah, it does happen. I think if you work in a big structure and you're very, very busy and under a lot of pressure, maybe that's not your priority. But we do really try to, genuinely, I'm not just saying this, we do genuinely try to have really good relationships with both parties, the sellers and the buyers, and just that way I personally always just try to be fair. So I always just try to find the fair compromise in terms of price, in terms of what they're selling. And, I think we as the agents as well, we can only present a buyer with the facts. That person has to walk in the front door and just see themselves in that house. So, you can't make someone buy a house, as you well know.
At gunpoint.
You could try, but it's not guaranteed they'll go ahead with it.
What would you say are the sort of the opportunities coming up for your agency in the near future? Again, I've talked about the bad. Now we talk about the good.
Yeah, so I think it's really exciting. We're having quite a lot of new types of clients coming to us. So people from a bit more widespread in the world. And that's quite interesting, poses its challenges, but we work with quite a lot of people as well who help organise visas and transfer of money and things like that. So it's creating a sort of whole ensemble for people to make life easier for them to get here, get set up, because it's in everyone's interest that that person who buys a house is happy at the end of the day, and gets everything organised and set up for themselves and their family. We'd quite like to, I think, have some more bigger properties. We've talked about this quite a lot, maybe looking into perhaps taking on some larger properties like big farms or chateau, things like that. We don't have a lot round here, but I think we would be quite interested in doing something like that in the future. Quite challenging at the moment because of the new energy ratings report and how that works with people who've got rental properties. Quite a lot of the not so decent flats that we had, or apartments above shops and things like that in the towns, a lot of those sellers are a bit like, oh, we can't afford to do the work, so they're putting them on the market. But we don't really have a massive market for those people who want to invest. You know, they don't necessarily tend to be in the small towns like the one that we live in. So that's quite challenging, finding those people who are prepared to invest in a small town that is quite up and coming, but it is quite rural. Convincing them that it's a good place to invest their money. And it is in the sense that the great thing we have about this area is it's so accessible for people. So since they put in the new fast train line, you can get to Poitiers, Paris really quickly from Ruffec station, and going the other way as well, you get to Angoulême, and then Angoulême to Bordeaux is 30 minutes now. So it's a really super fast train. You can't hold your coffee on the train. It's like... So these are our challenges. I think that it would be interesting to explore that a bit further, how we get those clients to come to us, the investors, those kind of people, to present the region as a good place to invest their money, not just as a place to live. And it's interesting because we had a lot of British buyers who would come to us with basically the same criteria. So there was a time when they'd be like, okay, we've got about 150,000 euros to spend. We'd like a house with about half an acre of land, with like 3 bedrooms. It needs to be a stone house. It needs to be peaceful, no noise, no roads, no trains, no wind farms, nothing like that. This area's now got a lot of wind farms. So we've got pockets of this area where you see, you know, a lot. They're apparently slowing down putting those up, but at the moment it's quite prevalent in this area. You can drive through certain parts of it and you'll see, you know, obviously follows the line of the wind. You'll see them in certain areas, a lot of them. And it's interesting because recently quite a lot of our British buyers have been saying, oh, no, we don't want to be out in the countryside anymore. We want to be in Ruffec. Ruffec's the place we want to go. We want to be able to get up, walk out, sit in a cafe, watch the world go by and have a coffee, go and get a baguette and go to the market. And that's quite interesting because they're now looking at Ruffec through a different pair of glasses, if you like, and seeing actually the fact that it's got a bit of life to it as a big positive, rather than being out in the sticks in a hamlet with maybe 4 or 5 neighbours and quite cut off. So yeah, and quite often I found people have come over with their teenage children, and it's the children, even if it's for a holiday house, who say, oh, no, we don't want to be out there. We want to be near Ruffec. And, you know, we're a bit like, well, there aren't nightclubs or anything like that, but you can get on a bike and go for a nice bike ride. There's a forest, you've got the river, you can go canoeing. You know, there's the nice, quite subtle things to do that are good fun.
I think you sold Ruffec to me now. I'm going to have to check it out.
We have got a lovely place I've just taken on at the moment. I think it's got your name all over it.
I'm just going to have to sell the house I just bought. But
take your time.
It was lovely speaking to you, Katie.
And you.
And I wish you all the best, you know, for TIC Immobilier.
Thank you. And we just keep trying to do what we're doing and doing it as well as we can. And if you are ever looking for a lovely little bolt hole in Ruffec, you know where to find us. We're right next to the mairie. You can have your little coffee outside and come and see us at the agency, or we'll make you a coffee even. That'd be nicer.
I'd love to.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Bye.
Merci. Au revoir.